Have you ever sat in complete silence and wondered what happens next? Not tomorrow, not next week, but after that final breath. It's a question that has haunted and fascinated humanity since the dawn of consciousness. It's a question whispered in the halls of ancient temples, debated by philosophers under starry skies, and held tightly in the hearts of anyone who has ever loved and lost. We've built monuments to it, written epic poems about it, and waged wars over differing answers. Yet, for all our progress, for all our scientific advancements, the ultimate mystery of what lies beyond the veil of death remains. Today, we're not just going to ask that question. We're going to embark on an epic journey together into one of the most profound and detailed accounts of the soul's journey after it leaves the physical body. We'll be diving deep into the 7 stages of the soul's journey after passing away, a roadmap of the afterlife that has been pieced together from countless sources, from ancient spiritual texts to modern-day near-death experiences. But this won't be a one-sided story. I'm not here to tell you what to believe. Instead, I invite you to be both a traveler and a skeptic on this journey. We'll look at the compelling evidence that suggests this journey is real, stories and phenomena that will challenge your understanding of reality. And in the spirit of honest inquiry, we'll also confront the scientific and skeptical arguments that seek to explain these experiences in other ways. So, grab a cup of tea, find a comfortable spot, and open your mind. This is more than just a video. It's an invitation to contemplate the biggest question of all. And who knows, by the end of our time together, you might just see life and death in a whole new light. Let's begin. Part 1. The Great Unveiling. Echoes of Eternity. Before we delve into the 7 stages themselves, it's important to understand that we're treading on ancient ground. Our fascination with the afterlife isn't a New Age trend. It's woven into the very fabric of human history. Think about the ancient Egyptians, with their intricate Book of the Dead, a detailed guide for the soul's passage through the underworld. They built pyramids, magnificent tombs reaching for the heavens, all in preparation for this journey. Consider the Norse warriors who believed in Valhalla, a majestic hall where the souls of brave warriors would feast and fight until the final battle of Ragnarok. In the philosophical schools of ancient Greece, thinkers like Plato and Socrates pondered the immortality of the soul, arguing that our existence on earth is but a shadow of a higher, eternal reality. Across the globe, from the indigenous tribes of the Americas with their beliefs in a spirit world, to the Eastern traditions of reincarnation and nirvana, we see the same fundamental questions being asked, the same deep-seated need to believe that life doesn't simply end. This universal quest for meaning beyond death is a powerful testament to the human spirit. It suggests that perhaps there's an intuitive knowing, an echo of eternity within each of us, that tells us there's more to our existence than just our physical form. The 7-stage model we're about to explore is a modern synthesis of this ancient wisdom, a contemporary attempt to map the terrain of the great unknown. It's a framework that resonates with many because it brings together so many of the common threads found in these diverse traditions. So, as we embark on this journey, let's remember that we're walking in the footsteps of countless generations who have looked up at the stars and asked, "What's next?" The final breath. Every life on this planet, from the smallest insect to the largest whale, shares a common destiny, a final breath. For us humans, this moment is often feared, shrouded in uncertainty and sadness. But what if we were to look at it not as an end, but as a transition, a doorway opening into a new state of being? According to many spiritual traditions and first-hand accounts, the moment of death is precisely that, a separation of consciousness, of our true essence, from the physical body that has been our home. This separation is often described as being connected by a silver cord, a luminous, elastic thread of energy that tethers the soul to the body. As long as this cord is intact, there's a possibility of returning to physical life, as we see in many near-death experiences. But once the silver cord is severed, the transition is complete. The experience of this separation can vary greatly. For some who have lived a long and full life, it's a gentle, peaceful release, like a leaf detaching from a tree in the autumn breeze. For others, especially in cases of sudden or traumatic death, the separation can be more abrupt and disorienting. Imagine for a moment leaving the confines of your physical senses. You are no longer limited by your eyes to see, your ears to hear, or your body to feel. You are pure consciousness, pure awareness. This is the very first step on the journey, a moment of profound change that sets the stage for everything that is to come. It is a return to our natural state of being, a state that we have simply forgotten during our time on earth. The final breath, then, is not an extinguishment of the light, but a release of a lantern, allowing the flame of consciousness to burn freely in the vast expanse of eternity. Part 2. The 7 stages of the journey. Stage 1. The etheric crossing and the life review. Imagine finding yourself in a place that is almost identical to the world you just left, yet subtly different. This is the first stage of the journey, often referred to as the etheric crossing. In this state, the soul finds itself in an energetic duplicate of the physical world. It's a realm where thoughts and emotions have a tangible reality. Many who have had near-death experiences report floating above their own bodies, able to see and hear everything that is happening around them. This initial stage is a period of adjustment. The soul is getting used to its new, non-physical form. There can be a sense of confusion, as the soul may not immediately realize that it has passed away. They might try to interact with their loved ones and be frustrated when they are not seen or heard. But then something extraordinary happens. The life review. This isn't a judgment from on high, with a robed figure pointing a finger. Instead, it's a panoramic, holographic immersion in your own life. You experience every moment, not just from your own perspective, but from the perspective of everyone you interacted with. You feel the joy you brought to others, and you also feel their pain. It's a profound, and sometimes difficult, experience of understanding the true impact of your life, the ripple effects of your every word and deed. The purpose of the life review is not punishment, but education. It is the soul's first and most important lesson in the afterlife, a lesson in love, empathy, and the interconnectedness of all beings. Stage 2. The realm of lost attachments and lingering emotions. After the illuminating experience of the life review, the soul must then navigate a more challenging terrain, the realm of its own unresolved issues. This second stage is a confrontation with all the earthly attachments, lingering emotions, and unfulfilled desires that we carry with us. Think of it as a spiritual decluttering. In our earthly lives, we accumulate so much baggage, grudges we hold, forgiveness we haven't granted, addictions we haven't overcome, and material possessions we can't let go of. In the afterlife, these things become energetic weights that can hold a soul back, creating a temporary holding place or purgatory. This isn't a place of fire and brimstone, but rather a state of being where the soul is surrounded by the energy of its own unresolved issues. For example, a soul who was consumed by greed in life might find themselves in a gray, desolate landscape, endlessly searching for a satisfaction that never comes. A soul who is unable to forgive might be locked in a recurring loop of the event that caused them so much pain. The key to moving through this stage is release. It's about understanding that these earthly attachments no longer serve us and consciously choosing to let them go. This can be a difficult process, and often spiritual guides are present to help the soul navigate these murky waters. This stage teaches us a powerful lesson: the importance of living a life of forgiveness, non-attachment, and emotional clarity, not just for our own peace of mind on earth, but for the freedom of our soul in the hereafter. Stage 3. The guiding light and the encounter with loved ones. Once the soul has shed its earthly baggage, It is ready for one of the most beautiful and widely reported experiences of the afterlife journey, the encounter with the guiding light. This isn't just any light. It's a light that is described as being brighter than 1,000 suns, yet it doesn't hurt the eyes. It's a light that radiates an unconditional, all-encompassing love, a love that is more real and more powerful than anything we can imagine on earth. As the soul is drawn towards this light, it often experiences a joyous reunion with loved ones who have passed on before. Imagine the embrace of a beloved grandparent, the laughter of a dear friend, the comforting presence of a partner who you have missed so dearly. These reunions are not just figments of the imagination. They are reported with incredible consistency in near-death experiences across all cultures. These loved ones are not there simply to welcome the soul. They are there to act as guides, to offer comfort, and to help the soul understand what is happening. For many, this is the moment when all fear of death vanishes, replaced by a profound sense of peace and belonging. It is a homecoming, a return to a state of love that is our true origin. This stage is a powerful reminder that the bonds of love are not severed by death, and that we are never truly alone on our journey. Stage 4. The journey to the doorway of judgment and self-reflection. The word judgment often conjures up images of a stern, authoritarian figure weighing our good and bad deeds. But in the context of the soul's journey, judgment is something entirely different. It's not an external verdict, but a profound and deeply personal process of self-reflection. Having been through the life review and having been embraced by the light of love, the soul is now in a state of perfect clarity and honesty. In this fourth stage, with the help of its spiritual guides, the soul takes a deeper look at its past life. It's a time of understanding the karmic consequences of its actions, not as a system of reward and punishment, but as a natural law of cause and effect. The soul sees how its choices have contributed to its own spiritual growth or stagnation. It understands the lessons it was meant to learn, the challenges it was meant to overcome, and the opportunities for love and compassion it may have missed. This is not a process of self-condemnation, but of self-realization. The love and support of the spiritual guides create a safe and compassionate space for this deep introspection. The soul is not shamed for its mistakes, but is instead encouraged to learn from them. This stage is a pivotal moment of growth, where the soul gains a profound understanding of itself and its place in the grand tapestry of existence. It's a judgment of love, by love, for the purpose of love. Stage 5. The planes of learning and rest. After the intense period of self-reflection, the soul enters a stage of learning and rest. This is not a static heaven, but a dynamic and multifaceted realm of existence, often referred to as the planes of learning. Imagine a university of the spirit, with different faculties dedicated to various aspects of existence. There are planes of healing, where souls who have experienced trauma can find solace and restoration. There are planes of knowledge, where souls can study the laws of the universe, the history of galaxies, and the mysteries of creation. There are planes of art and music, where souls can create with a freedom and a palette that is unimaginable on earth. The soul is naturally drawn to the plane that resonates with its own level of spiritual development and its own interests. A soul who was a compassionate healer on earth might be drawn to a plane where they can learn advanced forms of spiritual healing. A soul who was a passionate artist might find themselves in a realm of breathtaking beauty, where they can create masterpieces of light and sound. This is also a time of rest and rejuvenation. The soul is freed from the stresses and strains of physical existence and can simply be in a state of peace and contentment. This stage is a testament to the idea that our growth and evolution do not end with death. The afterlife is a continuation of our journey of learning, of becoming more of who we truly are. Stage 6. The soul's purpose and the choice of destiny. Having rested, healed, and learned, the soul reaches a state of profound clarity and wisdom. It now has a much deeper understanding of its own unique purpose, the reason for its existence. This sixth stage is a pivotal moment of choice, a fork in the road of eternity. The soul, in full consciousness, and with the guidance of its spiritual teachers, must now decide its own destiny. There are two primary paths that open up at this stage. The first is to continue its spiritual evolution in the higher realms. The soul can choose to become a spiritual guide itself, helping other souls on their journey. It can choose to contribute to the grand cosmic plan in ways that are beyond our human comprehension. It can continue to learn and grow, ascending through ever more sublime planes of existence. The second path is the path of reincarnation. The soul may choose to return to Earth for another lifetime. This is not a punishment, but a conscious and deliberate choice made for the purpose of further learning and growth. The soul may choose to return to balance karma, to learn a lesson it has not yet mastered, or to be of service to humanity in a specific way. This choice is made with a full understanding of the challenges and difficulties of earthly life, but also with a knowledge of the immense potential for spiritual growth that it offers. Stage 7. The return to the source or the path of rebirth. And so, we arrive at the final stage of this particular journey, the culmination of all that has come before. Depending on the choice made in the previous stage, the soul now embarks on one of two ultimate paths. The first is the return to the source. This is the experience that is often referred to as nirvana in the East or heavenly union in the West. The soul, having completed its cycle of learning and growth, merges back into the divine consciousness from which it originated. It is a state of perfect unity, of boundless love, and of ineffable bliss. It is not an annihilation of the individual consciousness, but an expansion of it, as the drop of water returns to the ocean and becomes the ocean itself. This is the ultimate homecoming, the end of the long journey of separation, and the return to a state of perfect oneness. The second path is the path of rebirth. If the soul has chosen to reincarnate, it now begins the intricate process of planning its next life. With the help of its guides, it chooses the time, the place, and the circumstances of its birth. It chooses its parents, its family, and the key life challenges it will face. This is not a random process, but a carefully crafted plan designed to provide the optimal conditions for its continued spiritual growth. Once the plan is made, the soul begins the process of incarnation, its vast consciousness gradually narrowing and focusing until it is born into a new body, with a veil of forgetfulness drawn over its past existence, ready to begin the adventure of life once again. The Great Debate. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking. This is a beautiful and comforting story, but is there any actual evidence to support it? And that's a fair question. While we don't have definitive scientific proof of the afterlife, there are several fascinating areas of research and a wealth of anecdotal evidence that align remarkably well with the 7-stage model we've just explored. First, let's talk about near-death experiences, or NDEs. Thousands of people from all walks of life and from every corner of the globe have been clinically dead and then resuscitated, bringing back extraordinary accounts of their experiences. And what's truly remarkable is the consistency of these accounts. Many report leaving their bodies, traveling through a tunnel towards a brilliant light, being greeted by deceased loved ones, and undergoing a life review. These experiences often lead to profound and lasting personal transformation, a loss of the fear of death, and a greater sense of purpose and compassion. Researchers like Dr. Raymond Moody, who coined the term NDE, and Dr. Pim van Lommel, a Dutch cardiologist, have studied thousands of these cases and found that they cannot be easily dismissed as hallucinations. Then there's the research into past life regression therapy. While controversial, this therapeutic technique involves hypnotizing individuals and guiding them back to what appear to be memories of previous lives. Many people under hypnosis have provided incredibly detailed and historically accurate information about people, places, and events they could not have possibly known about. Dr. Ian Stevenson, a psychiatrist from the University of Virginia, spent decades investigating cases of children who spontaneously remembered past lives, and he meticulously documented over 2,500 of them, finding that in many cases, the details provided by the children could be verified. And finally, we have the ancient wisdom traditions themselves. The fact that so many different cultures, separated by geography and time, have independently developed such similar ideas about the afterlife journey is, in itself, a form of evidence. From the Tibetan Book of the Dead, which describes the Bardo states between lives, to the esoteric teachings of many world religions, we see the same core concepts appearing again and again: the separation from the body, the life review, the encounter with a guiding light, and the choice of reincarnation or continued existence in the spirit world. While this isn't hard proof, it does suggest that perhaps these ideas are not just wishful thinking, but are based on a genuine, universal human experience. Of course, for every argument in favor of the afterlife, there is a counter-argument rooted in science and skepticism. And it's crucial that we give these perspectives equal consideration if we are to have an honest and balanced discussion. Let's start with near-death experiences. While the stories are compelling, many neuroscientists believe that NDEs can be explained by what's happening in the dying brain. For example, the experience of traveling through a tunnel of light could be caused by a lack of oxygen to the brain's visual cortex. The feeling of peace and euphoria could be the result of a flood of endorphins, the body's natural painkillers, being released in a moment of extreme stress. And the life review could be the brain's way of rapidly accessing and replaying memories as its functions begin to shut down. The dying brain hypothesis, as it's called, offers a purely biological explanation for these phenomena, without the need to invoke a soul or an afterlife. The evidence from past life regression is also met with significant skepticism from the scientific community. Critics argue that the memories uncovered under hypnosis are not genuine recollections of past lives, but are instead a form of cryptomnesia, where a person mistakes a forgotten memory from a book, a movie, or a story they once heard for a personal experience. They also point to the power of suggestion, where a therapist, either consciously or unconsciously, can lead a client to create elaborate and convincing, but ultimately false, narratives. As for the similarities in afterlife beliefs across cultures, skeptics would argue that this is not evidence of a universal spiritual reality, but rather a reflection of our shared human psychology. We all fear death, we all long for meaning, and we all grieve for our lost loved ones. It's only natural that different cultures would develop similar stories and beliefs to cope with these universal human experiences. These stories provide comfort, they offer hope, and they help to maintain social order. But that doesn't necessarily make them true. It's important to remember that from a purely scientific standpoint, there is no empirical evidence for the existence of a soul or an afterlife. Consciousness appears to be a product of the brain, and when the brain dies, consciousness ceases to exist. While this may be a difficult and uncomfortable thought for many, it is the conclusion that the current scientific paradigm points towards. The burden of proof, skeptics would argue, lies with those who make the extraordinary claim of life after death. Part 3. Perennial Questions and Connections. The Tapestry of Belief. Afterlife in World Religions. The 7-stage model we've explored is a spiritual framework, but it doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's fascinating to see how it echoes and, in some ways, diverges from the afterlife beliefs of major world religions. In Christianity, for example, we see the concepts of heaven, hell, and purgatory, which can be seen as parallels to the planes of learning and the realm of lost attachments. Islam speaks of barzakh, an intermediate state between death and the Day of Judgment, which has similarities to the etheric crossing. In Hinduism, the cycle of samsara, death and rebirth, and the ultimate goal of moksha, or liberation, align closely with the choice of reincarnation or the return to the source. And in Buddhism, the Bardo Thodol, or the Tibetan Book of the Dead, offers a remarkably detailed guide to the intermediate states between lives, with many parallels to the stages we've discussed. By understanding these different perspectives, we can appreciate the rich and diverse tapestry of human belief when it comes to the great mystery. Echoes from the other side. We've touched on NDEs, but let's delve a little deeper. The transformative power of these experiences is undeniable. People who have had an NDE often return with a new perspective on life, a greater sense of purpose, and a complete lack of fear of death. But what about communication with those who have passed on? Throughout history, people have claimed to receive signs and messages from the other side. These can range from a sudden feeling of a loved one's presence to a meaningful dream, to more direct forms of communication through mediums or psychics. While this is a highly controversial area, the sheer number of people who have had these experiences is staggering. Could it be that those on the other side are able to reach out and let us know that they are okay, that life continues? The living and the departed. One of the most comforting aspects of the soul's journey is the idea that the bond of love is never broken. Our grief, our love, our prayers for those who have passed on are not empty gestures sent out into the void. According to many spiritual traditions, these emotions are felt by the souls on the other side. Our love can help them on their journey, and their love can continue to guide and protect us. Many people report feeling the continued presence of a departed loved one, especially in times of need. This unseen bond can be a source of immense comfort and strength, a reminder that even when someone is no longer physically with us, they are still a part of our lives. Navigating grief with spiritual understanding. Grief is a natural and necessary part of the human experience. But understanding the soul's journey can offer a new perspective on loss. It can help us to see death not as an end, but as a transition. It can help us to move from a place of despair to a place of peace, knowing that our loved ones are not gone, but have simply moved on to a different state of being. This doesn't mean that we won't miss them, but it can help us to hold their memory in a way that is filled with love rather than pain. Practices like meditation, prayer, and simply talking to our departed loved ones can help us to maintain a sense of connection and to navigate the difficult journey of grief with a little more hope and a little less fear. Preparing for the journey. Perhaps the most important takeaway from this entire journey is not about death, but about life. If we truly understand that we are immortal souls on a journey of learning and growth, it can radically transform how we live our lives here and now. It encourages us to live with more purpose, to be more compassionate, to forgive more easily, and to love more deeply. It reminds us that our time on earth is precious, a golden opportunity to learn the lessons our soul has chosen. Living a soul-conscious life means making choices that are aligned with our highest values, knowing that every action, every word, and every thought has a ripple effect that extends far beyond our physical existence. It's about preparing for the ultimate journey, not with fear, but with a sense of adventure and a heart full of love. The dawn of a new understanding. We are living in an extraordinary time, a time when the age-old barriers between science and spirituality are beginning to dissolve. Quantum physics is challenging our classical understanding of reality, suggesting that consciousness may play a more fundamental role in the universe than we ever imagined. The study of consciousness is becoming one of the most exciting and cutting-edge fields of scientific inquiry. While we may not have all the answers yet, we are on the cusp of a new understanding of who we are and what our place is in the cosmos. The future of afterlife exploration may not be found in ancient texts or spiritual traditions alone, but in a new synthesis of science and spirituality, a new way of looking at the world that honors both reason and intuition, both the mind and the heart. The journey is your own. We've traveled a long way together today, through the echoes of eternity to the final breath, across the 7 stages of the soul's journey, and into the heart of the great debate. We've explored the wisdom of the ages and the questions of our modern world. And now, as we reach the end of our 4 hours together, I want to leave you with a final thought. The map we've explored today, the 7 stages of the soul's journey, is just that, a map. It is not the territory itself. It is one possible interpretation of the great mystery, a framework to help us make sense of the incomprehensible. Whether you believe it to be literally true, a beautiful metaphor, or a comforting illusion, is a choice that only you can make. The real purpose of this journey is not to give you all the answers, but to encourage you to ask your own questions, to look at your own life, your own beliefs, and your own mortality with a new sense of wonder and a deeper sense of purpose. The ultimate truth of what lies beyond the veil of death may be a mystery that we can never fully solve in this lifetime. But the journey of seeking, of questioning, of living with an open heart and an open mind, that is a journey that is worth taking, no matter where it leads. Thank you for joining me on this exploration. I hope it has given you food for thought, a measure of comfort, and a spark of curiosity to continue your own journey of discovery. To die is one of 2 things. Either it is to be annihilated and have no consciousness of anything, or, as we are told, it is a change and a migration of the soul from this place to another. Socrates.